So in the last class, we were discussing about the resource allocation graph. Previous to that, we have discussed the characterization, four necessary conditions for having a deadlock. And we discussed that if we can be able to break any one of those four conditions, then deadlock will not happen. For a deadlock, there must be these four conditions are required. If all of these four conditions will be there, then only you can say it will be a deadlock condition. If three conditions are met and one is not meeting, so you can say it's not a deadlock. Four conditions were mutual exclusion, hold and wait, no preemption, and circular wait. Now we were discussing the resource allocation graph. In resource allocation graph, we have already discussed, but I am revising you once again. We will have two different types of vertices, P and R. P is for process, R is for resources. P1, P2, P3 up to Pn are the processes, R1, R2, R3 up to Rm are the resource types. How many number of resources will be there of different types? Then we have two different types of edges. One is request edge, another one is assignment edge. So we have seen this particular scenario of a system. Suppose we are given these much instructions and we need to check whether this condition, whatever we are given, is the deadlock situation or not. We will face any kind of deadlock in this situation or not. We have to find out. So first we need to prepare a resource allocation graph out of these statements. So one instance of resource R1, okay, one instance of resource R1 we have created like this. Two instances of resource R2, two instances of resource R2 we have created. One instance of resource R3, one instance of resource R3 we have created. Three instance of resource R4, three instance of resource R4 we have created. Instances, number of instances means number of that resource type. How many CPUs are we are having, how many printers we are having. So the number of a particular resource type will be defined as the instances. And instances you are defining inside this rectangular box. Now, what are the conditions? T1 holds one instance of R2. T1 holds one instance of R2. T1 is having one instance of R2. That means we are making an arrow from R2 to T1 because it is already allocated to T1. It's already allocated to T1. That's because we are making an arrow from R2 to T1. But other instances already free. Then R2, sorry, and is waiting for an instance of R1. T1 is waiting for an instance of R1. T1 is not having that resource. T1 is waiting. Waiting means an arrow from T1 to R1. T to R, not R to T. If that resource is properly allocated to T1, then edge is from R to T. If it is waiting or requesting, then means process to resource. Okay, then T1 holds one instance of R1, sorry, T2 holds one instance of R1, T2 holds one instance of R1, R1 to T2, one instance of R2, one instance of R2 is given to T2 and is waiting for an instance of R3. This is a request edge, T to R. It is waiting or you can say requesting. T3 holds one instance of R3. T3 holds one instance of R3. R4 is not required by anyone, and this is the particular situation where what are the conditions we are already given. Using these conditions, we have created this resource allocation graph. Now, how can you determine whether this condition uh, is a deadlock situation or not? Yeah. Now we need to check in this graph whether we are having a cycle or not. A cycles from where you are starting by traversing few nodes. After you can visit that node once again. That means a cycle. Do we have a cycle here? No. If we are starting from R2, can we reach R2 once again after visiting few nodes? No. Any other cycle? Can you see? No. No cycle is there. This is looking like a cycle, but it's not a cycle because from T2 you cannot go to R2. It's a different arrow. If this arrow is from T2 to R2, then it may be a cycle. Okay, so here we can say we need to find a cycle. Cycle means we can say no cycle means no deadlock. No cycle means no deadlock. Cycle may or may not have deadlock. It is not compulsory that every time you are getting a cycle, it will be a deadlock. But if there is no cycle, you can directly say it will not be having any kind of deadlock. No cycle means no deadlock. Cycle deadlock may or may not be there. Okay. Now moving forward. Now this is a resource allocation graph. Another resource allocation graph. We need to check whether it's a deadlock situation or not. Obviously, the heading is showing that it's a resource allocation graph with a deadlock. How? Just check for the cycle. Do we have any cycle here? Anyone can raise their hand. Yeah, we are having a cycle here. You can start from R2, R2 to T2, T2 to R3, R3 to T3, T3 to R3 again. This is a cycle. This particular is a cycle. This is not a cycle. It is a cycle. Now, we found a cycle. Now we need to check whether it's a deadlock or not, because it is not sure that every time you are getting a cycle and you will be having a deadlock. Deadlock you have to check. How you will check? Just by just going through every process, and you have to check whether there is a possible way of executing that particular process or not. You need to check all the possibilities. Now I am showing you the different ways how to check. First process is T1. Okay, T1 is having R2 because there is an edge from R2 to T1. We have already allocated one R2 to T1. T1 is waiting for an instance of R1. Do we provide that instance to T1? Can we provide this instance to T1? No. Why? Because this instance is already allocated to T2. Okay. So T1 cannot run until R1 is free and allocated to T1. Now we will check how R1 will be free. If T1 will be executing, then R1 will be free. T2 is executing or not. T2 is having R1, T2 is having R2. What T2 is waiting for? R3. T2 is waiting for R3. Can they provide R3 to T2? No, because R3 is having only one instance and this particular instance is already allocated to T3. We cannot give this instance to T2. Now T3 is having this R3. T3 require one instance of R2, but two instances of R2 are there. Both of these two are already allocated to T1 and T2. We cannot give any instance to T3. So T3 will also be not running. T1, T2 and T3, all three processes will not run because we cannot provide the required resources to any of them. But as you can see, if T3 is sacrificing whatever it is having, like R3, suppose T3 is sacrificing for R3, T3 is saying that I can wait, you people can take my resource, okay, then R3 will be free. R3 will be free, R3 will be allocated to T2. Now T2 is having everything it requires, R1, R2, R3. T2 will execute. After execution of this T2 will release all the resources it is having. T2 will release R2, T2 will release R1, T2 will release R3, everything T2 will release. Then this R1 will be released and this will be allocated to T1. T1 requires only R1. So T1 will be executed. After T1 execution, T1 will release R1 and R2 both. Now every resource is free. Now after T2 and T1, T3 can be run. T3 can run easily. T3 will get R2. So here no one is sacrificing whatever they are having. That's why it is a deadlock situation. Okay. So whenever you will get any cycle, you have to check whether we can find a sequence of processes in which they can run or not. Now graph with the cycle, but there is no deadlock. In this graph, you can check there is a cycle R2, T1, R1, T3, R2. This is a cycle. But here we are not having any deadlock. Why? Can anyone tell the answer? Here we are not having any deadlock. Now let's check. Can we run T1? T1 needs, T1 is having one instance of R2. T1 requires one instance of R1. Can we allocate this R1 to T1? R1 is having two instances. One is given to T2, another one is given to T3. So we cannot allocate any of these two instances to T1. Okay. Now check. Can we execute T3? T3 is having R1. T3 requires R2. Can we allocate R2 to T3? No, we cannot allocate R2 to T3 because R2 is having two instances. One of those is given to T1, another one is given to T4. We cannot give any instance of R2 to T3. T3 will also be not running. Let's check T2. T2 is having one instance of R1. T2 does not require anything else. T2 will run directly. T2 is having everything it requires. After completion of T2, T2 will release this resource. T2 will free this resource. One instance of this particular resource type will be free. When one instance of this will be free, this can be allocated to T1. Okay, if you are providing this to T1, then T1 will be having everything it requires. T1 will execute. Okay, so after T1 execution, T1 will release everything. T1 will release R1 also and R2 also. T1 will release both of these resources. When R2 will be free after T1, then this particular resource can be allocated to T3 because T3 want that. Now T3 is having everything it requires. T3 can be run. T4 is only having R2 and it does not require anything else. T4 can also be run. So in this way, you need to check whether you can fulfill all the requirements of all the processes or not. If you can fulfill all the requests made by the different processes, then there will be no deadlock. What are the basic facts here? If graph contains no cycle, that means no deadlock. No cycle means no deadlock. If a graph contains a cycle, if only one instance per resource type, then deadlock. Then you are not required to check this particular task. If only one instance is there for every resource type, then you can directly say it's a deadlock. If several instances per resource type, it's a possibility of deadlock. You cannot sure. Methods for handling deadlocks. Ensure that the system will never enter a deadlock state. It will be good if you are ensuring that system is not having any deadlock. Okay. So there are two mechanisms for this: deadlock prevention and deadlock avoidance. Allow the system to enter deadlock state and then recover. Ignore the problem and pretend that deadlock never occur in the system. There are two things: deadlock prevention. Allow the system to enter a deadlock state and then recover. This will be very harmful for you. You have to make some algorithm to recover from the deadlock situation, or it is better to ignore the problem and pretend that deadlock never occur in the system. Now, deadlock prevention. Invalidate one of the four necessary conditions for the deadlock. You are required to invalidate only one condition out of four. It is not compulsory that you are invalidating all the four conditions. If you are invalidating only one condition, then you will be recovering from deadlock. Mutual exclusion you can invalidate. Mutual exclusion means not required for shareable resources. Example reads only files must hold for non-shareable resources. So if you are having your resources and these resources can be shareable among so many processes, then it will never be a deadlock. If you are having only one monitor and that monitor can be used by several systems at a time, at the same time. If two persons are using that monitor, then that monitor is capable of splitting its screen into two parts or in three parts or in four parts, and it will not be any problem for that monitor, then there will be no deadlock in that case. Hold and wait. If you want to break this hold and wait, some process need to leave the resources whatever they are having. Like in the previous numerical, if any process is ready to leave all the resources that it is having, that I'm giving my resources to someone else who is in need, I will run later, then it won't be any deadlock. Then you can break this condition that no preemption and circular wait also. These are just opposite to that we have studied in the four necessary conditions. Those four conditions are coming here. You need to break any one of these four. Now, deadlock avoidance. Deadlock avoidance means whenever you are doing any task in your system, before moving forward, you need to check whether this allocation or this kind of task you are doing will generate any deadlock or not. Before moving your before moving forward, you need to check in each step that this step uh, will create any kind of deadlock or not. If it's a deadlock step, you need not to move forward. It requires that the system has some additional a priori information available. But system should have some prior information that we are going to have this kind of a statement in few milliseconds. Simplest and most useful model requires that each process declare the maximum number of resources of each type that it may need. Simplest solution says that whenever any process is entering in the system, it is telling the maximum number of resources it want in the very beginning. uh, it should not be the case that process are running and in between execution process is required one resource, two resource of R2, three resource of R3. No, it should not be the case. It should be very clear in the very beginning that this process requires these number of resources. The deadlock avoidance algorithm dynamically examines the resource allocation state to ensure that there can never be circular wait condition. So we need to check that we should not be having any type of circular wait condition. Resource allocation state is defined by the number of available and allocated resources and the maximum demands of the process. Uh, Whenever we are talking about resource allocation state, that is totally dependent upon the number of resources you have already allocated to that process and the number of maximum demands of that particular process which he will ask in the future. Now the safe state. When a process requests an available resource, system must decide if immediate allocation leaves the system in safe state. We need to check when we are allocating a resource to any process, then after allocation, the system will be in safe state. Safe state means there should not be any cycle in the resource allocation graph. If cycle is there, you can not uh, provide that resource type to the process. System is in safe state if there exists a sequence P1, P2 up to Pn of all the processes in the system such that for every Pi, the resources that Pi can still request can be satisfied by currently available resources plus resources held by the all Pj with j less than I. So this statement is very big to understand. I'm just giving you the brief of this statement. Suppose you are having n different processes P1 to Pn. Okay, so there should be a safe sequence. Safe sequence means there should be a sequence of these processes like P3, P7, P2, P1 in any order. You can run all the processes. If you can find any such kind of sequence that all the processes can run in any order, then it will be a safe sequence. And if safe sequence is there, you can say it will be a safe state. So all these things is directly related to this thing. If Pi resource need are not immediately available, then Pi can wait until Pg have finished. If P1 cannot run in the very beginning, P1 will wait until P2 will be executing. If P2 also cannot run, P2 will again wait until P3 will be executing. So they will be waiting until unless all the processes are checked. If any process can run, it will be run. Then again you need to start from P1. You need to find out the safe sequence where all the processes can run one after another. If a system is in safe state, there will be no deadlock. If a system is in unsafe state, there will be a possibility of deadlock. We cannot say that if unsafe state is there, it is always a deadlock. There is a possibility of deadlock. Avoidance means ensure that a system will never enter an unsafe state. You have to ensure that your system will never go in the unsafe state, because in the unsafe state there may be a possibility of the deadlock. So we can say a safe state there is no deadlock. In unsafe state there might be a possibility of deadlock. Now in avoidance algorithms we need to understand two different types of algorithm, that is when we are having a single resource type of every resource, then modified resource allocation graph algorithm, and if multiple instances are there, then we will use Banker's algorithm. We need to understand these two algorithms. So in the next class we will be discussing modified resource allocation graph scheme. Then we will be going to Banker's algorithm, and Banker's algorithm is very important. I am sure that a long question is going to come from the Banker's algorithm part. It will be a numerical. Okay. Now, if you are having any doubt, you may raise your hand.